So a lot of these bugs think that they're trying to go somewhere, but they're really confused as to why they're not navigating properly. So all the bugs you see here, the circuits just kind of scrambled up. The whole kind of concept behind it is that, or they navigate using the moon, and they kind of do that by like keeping the moon to one side of them. So the reason they fly around lights is because that ends up being a light they can travel around, and that just confuses the hell out of them, so they just go in circles around it. This wavelength of light, something about the bugs, they just detect it really well, and it draws them in. It's better than just like visual light does.
Yeah.
So there's only one species of mantis around here that's native, and it's this one, Stagmomantis carolina. They're smaller and kind of have more mottled pattern than any of the other mantises you'll see around here. And the other three we have here are the Chinese, the Japanese, and the European mantis. Smaller, daintier, it kind of tends to have more camouflage. It varies a lot in pattern. It can be like kind of green, gray, usually has a mottled pattern that you don't see in the other ones. A lot of times when I do this, you get a lot of predators like this coming in because it does just become like a buffet for them. So it's probably going to be stalking around, eating its fill on all the... Oh, there you go.
Yeah!
Oh, hell yeah.
So just got a mosquito there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Oh, weird ladybug.
Oh, it's cleaning itself.
It is.
It's grooming like a cat.
Aww. Oh, hey. He's looking at me.
Oh, it's so cute when they do that.
God.
Oh yeah, you can see a shadow on that.
He said, fuck you, this is my documentary now.
Mr. Director. Mr. Director.
These are called a large underwing moth, or Noctua pronuba. They're frequent visitors to light sheets. Kind of like the most common like big moth you get in the city, which is nice. They can appear a lot of different ways. They can be a lot of different colors and patterns, but what's always distinctive are these two spots at the bottom right there and there. So no matter like what pattern it'll have, it'll always at least have those two spots there. There's no bug that I like have no respect for. You know, they're all of them are very good at their jobs, even if their job is like being terrible to us.
Yeah, like I was thinking about how like I hate mosquitoes because everybody hates mosquitoes, but also like there's
and they're like they're pollinators.
Mosquitoes
like,
are kind of swaggy.
So like mosquitoes actually, the adult mosquitoes, they only drink, the blood is actually just only to give to their children. They don't consume any of the blood themselves. They actually go to flowers and drink nectar and like collect pollen.
Do they make honey?
No, they don't do the honey thing. That's only...
They just pollinate.
Yeah.
So thin, I can't even focus on it.
So people mistake them for mosquitoes a lot.
Yeah,
As like giant freaky mosquitoes, but actually they don't have functioning mouth parts. They're completely incapable of eating.
Oh wow.
They spend their lives as a larva that's like a really nasty little predatory, it looks like a gigantic maggot with tentacles that lives in water. And they're very powerful, nasty predators, but when they grow up they mellow out and they just kind of like clumsily flit around. They live for about a week. They don't eat anything. They just try to find a mate and then peacefully pass.
That's the life.
That's the life. So sometimes like pedantic bug nerds will be like I'm a pretty pedantic bug nerd, but they'll be like, no, bug actually only means like this one group of insects that are called bugs, and that's like stink bugs, water bugs, like things like seed bugs. But
so they're called bugs in the name for a specific reason.
But in my opinion, you can use bug. You can call anything a bug if it's like small and crawly enough. Like in the right context, I would call like a little frog or a little lizard a bug. Honestly, if it's acting the right way, I'd call a mouse a bug. I'm very loose. I'm very loose with the term bug.
That's fun.
It's very forward thinking of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But the hemipterans, they tend to have like a proboscis, which is just like the piercing, biting, sucking mouth part.
The tongue.
Yeah,
the protruding tongue.
So that's kind of what distinguishes that whole group of bugs, is they have like a mouth part that, like while most bugs kind of have a mouth part that kind of like chews, they have one that pierces and sucks, and it's like bed bugs are hemipterans. So most of the stink bugs you see are the not native ones, but this is actually one of the ones that's, these nice green ones is one of the ones that's native to here.
What are some good Philly native bugs?
One that's very impressive is called the great black wasp, and it's Sphex pennsylvanicus because it was first discovered in Pennsylvania. As the name implies, this is enormous black wasp, about like 1.5 to 2 inches long. And they're just like solitary burrowing wasps. They can sting, but they're not as aggressive or harmful as like the yellow stripy wasps that live in colonies. That's one of my favorite local legends.
Very cool, I like that.
They got a third?
No.
Wow.
It's always very funny that they just like move around while doing it.
I was gonna say like they move around when they fuck.
Yeah, some bugs can fly while they do it. Like they'll just like mate in the air.
Multitasking.
It's very impressive. So katydids, they're related to grasshoppers and crickets. It's their order is Orthoptera. They're kind of the hoppers. They got the big legs for jumping. So these are herbivorous. They just chew on leaves, and they also mimic leaves to just hide out on them. And so that clicking sound you hear in the background, that's actually katydids. I'm not sure if it's this species. Kind of the two major sounds you hear them make at night. You hear that clicking sound, or you hear sometimes at summer at night you hear like a that's also a different kind of katydid.
Katydids are fucking hideous, dude. I'm sorry, but they're just ugly creatures. Like in the face.
He's doing his best.
Oh yeah, for sure. You gotta rock it, you know?
I want to know anything.
You know?
I mean, like,
Jesus.
it's coming for you. It's like, you call me ugly.
You call me ugly? It's gonna get real ugly.
You gotta be real ugly after this.
So what are you doing with that vial?
So that's full of rubbing alcohol.
The murder trap.
It is a murder trap. The bugs that are collected in there are making a brave sacrifice. And that's just things I'm taking from my personal collection. I mostly collect wasps and beetles. That's just my area of interest.
What do you like about wasps/beetles?
Oh boy. Well, beetles I like because I just think beetles are really cool. I'm pretty good at like identifying them. They're easy to work with and mount, and like they're extremely diverse. They do so many different things, like almost like everything you can imagine a bug could do, some kind of beetle does it, just because there's so many different kinds that have evolved into so many different settings and evolved to fill so many different roles in their ecosystems.
There's a species of beetle for every grain stored by humans.
Yeah.
Every grain.
And
Every
then
single grain.
Wasps kind of also go in that direction where there's, for like pretty much every other insect, there's a wasp that parasitizes on them and keeps their population in check. Oh, there's one right there. There's a little one. So that's what, like, I'd say most of them just look something like that. Just a little guy like that. He can't hurt you. But if you're a caterpillar, like a little, oh, there's another one right there. There's another one right there. So there's 3 kinds just right there. The wasps you see are mostly just a handful of species, the stripy yellow ones that sting. That's what people think of with wasps, but there's actually like hundreds of thousands of more species that are small and inconspicuous and incapable of stinging. They live solitary lives, and you never notice them. But they're working in the background all across the earth to keep populations of other insects in check, and they do this by like laying their eggs inside of the babies of the other insects, and the wasp babies will eat that insect from the inside out. And this is super efficient, and without that we pretty much wouldn't have any plants, we wouldn't have like anything, because other insects would eat everything. So the wasps end up being a really important check on just about everything. So every ecosystem on Earth really kind of just depends on these wasps keeping the balance. Look at the sheet of sun. Looking like directly.
Like, should I put on sunscreen?